Hello everyone. It sure is a pleasure again to take time and talk to you always about your health, how to get well, and how to make some journeys a little beyond planet rock, Earth rock. But it's really a pleasure to talk to you, dear ones. I hope you're all doing well. Definitely getting your healings up. A lot of you are helping others. It's just great. I've been talking to a lot of you that are working with some tough cases, and you really get to see what tough cases are, don't you? You've just got to be a little detached in some of these tough cases, because you're going to get some advanced cases coming. People are now understanding there is a possible route for them. That's all they know, possible route for them. We know it as a sure route for them. And these poor souls are now trying to find relief quick. Sad thing, you know, but it's the way it is. And so each one of you are vital to helping these people. And some of you, like I said, are going to have some tough cases. And you just realize you didn't create this, yet you're all one with all life. And that's where the compassion and love comes in, to see others coming from the same source as you do, having eyes and hearts and livers, and same with the animals and the plants. You know, we're all tied here together, and we all require each other's help to exist. And so we have to respect that. You know, it's a birth, life, and death planet. You come, I mean, this is a soap opera, and your soap opera is always changing. From every moment to every day to every week to every year to every lifetime. But you control that by what you create in the moment. So what you create right now is your future. So if you create God and God consciousness, that's your future. If you create more drama, that's your future. You know? And I think that the mind is your little instigator. The mind is that little entity that says, hey, listen to me. A totally conditioned body. People condition your mind all the time. And it's just unbelievable what goes on in the art of advertising and the art of conditioning the human mind. It's enough to say, though, learn how to step outside of that mind in the present moment. And always be present when you can remember to be present. And keep working on that, you know. And that's your future, you know. Your future in creation is created in the moment, believe it or not. So I want to get to a lot of question and answers. I'm going to be off next week. I'm going to take a little trip to South Texas. So I want to get as much covered as I can. Like I said, a lot of you are taking on some tough cases. Be detached, give love, listen to your inner guidance, that sort of thing. And you'll do well with these cases. You do well with them. But there are tough ones out there, a lot of tough ones out there. And so don't feel pressured. And the other thing of this is the AMA and the things. Matter of fact, I'm going to read a letter. I was given permission to read this letter. Even though this gentleman, and I'm sure you're all familiar with this gentleman because he's been on, I think he's on the Facebook quite a bit, the practitioner that's working with this case. And this is a young man that was dubbed to have leukemia, and then it's lymphomic leukemia, so to speak, what it all is. The leukemia isn't a true cancer. I mean, in this person's white blood cells are high, which is perfect, much better than real low. Platelets, I haven't seen the blood work to give you some insights to that, but on the Facebook, I believe some of you are familiar with this case. And so when you get these advanced cases, there's not a lot of time to dilly-daddle. So get through the vegetables quick as you can, leave them off, and get into the higher levels, because I'm telling you that your success will be very minimal if you play in the vegetable fields. Those are great for herbivores, but not for detoxification, and certainly not the top food of choice for frugivores. So be careful. with that, hit them right off. Go right into the grapes and the lemons and the apples, and then go into the detoxifying foods. But remember, they're not just detoxifying, highly nutritious and regenerative. So they have all these principles to them. And, of course, electricity like nobody's business. Very active. That's why fructose is a much more active sugar than glucose, even though a simple sugar. The chemistry in fruits are much more bioavailable, much more bioactive. Hands down. And you can tell that when you're in there, when you try the two different foods. Better check the alarm. I called Jenny to let you know, but better check. Okay. That's good. I think this is funny. And before I go into that, I had to laugh at this. This was sent to me. Wellsville, Kansas. Well, we're going to Wellville, but Wellsville's close enough, isn't it? I thought that was funny. Wellsville. But, yeah, out in the heart of the cattlemen and all of that. Funny stuff. You'd expect to see something like that in the tropics or subtropics or something like that, Wellsville, Kansas. Thanks a lot, man. That's pretty funny. That was pretty good, too. Got to keep that one. Love those sort of things, Let's talk about this. This is a letter. This young man wanted to have the option because he had been talked to, and I guess he wanted the option to go our way. When these people say, oh, you want to go the alternative way, it grinds my grits. Because we're not alternative. This is the play and the dance on words that our elite intellectuals are playing. We are no more alternative than the sun coming up. We're no more alternative than the herbs growing in the ground for how many years? Tens of thousands of years. Excuse me. Herbs have been used by the Homo sapien for and animals by tens of thousands of years. We have recorded history beyond 5,000 years, but you already know what's up. So when a killing machine like the allopathic community says we're alternative, stand strong for the fact that we're traditional. They're not traditional. Are you kidding? We were here way before they were. So we're traditional, and I don't want to use the word medicine, but we were traditional health, traditional healing. This is not alternative at all. And it's just a play on words that they use. And remember who's packing these things, the world bankers. So they're going to use words and listen to every word and how it's used. Even the spelling of words. Remember, law dictionaries do not mimic Webster's. The same word in law dictionary can mean 100% different than Webster's. And it's a little trick that the law people have paid on everybody. It's like the Department of Justice told the court, I'm a citizen of the United States, spelled with a small c. Wrong. That's a federal citizen. That's not a state citizen, which anybody born in the 50 states are legally state citizens. So the conversion of you back, no one ever told you that they were converting your state citizenship to federal or corporate citizenship, and that's fraud. So there's just major stuff that's been going on, to gain control over your estates and everything else. I mean, it's just unbelievable. But just, awareness is sometimes tougher than unawareness. But in unawareness, you always be on the low end. You will always get your butt kicked. You will always, you got to have awareness but be detached from it. Difficult sometimes. Anyway, this medical doctor wrote this young man and said, I'm writing to ask that you consider coming to particular cancer center for an appointment to discuss your recent diagnosis of leukemia lymphoma. As you know, we never had the opportunity to properly discuss the diagnosis and range of treatment options before you left the hospital. Hopefully this gentleman left the hospital as quick as he could. I mean, remember when Consumer Reports has on the front of their magazine one month, how to protect yourself when you go to hospitals. We've got a serious problem. We have a serious problem. And then they went on to say that almost 500,000 people were killed in hospitals in America last year. And when you look at Gary Knowles' work and a lot of the other guys out there, and even medical doctors, it is shocking. It goes way up past 1 million. So imagine 1 million people getting killed by the use of pharmaceuticals and medical thinking, and none homeopathically and none naturopathically, and yet the FDA wants to stop. So you can see where the crookedness is and the criminality and all this is going on. It's obvious they want deaths. Remember, we've talked about this on other videos. This is why protect yourself. Gain awareness. Health is simple. To think that God put you here and to make health so complicated, you had to pay all your money to find it, and your genes were all messed, and you couldn't, is insanity. If you return to simplicity, genetic thinking will rearrange itself. Consciousness of the human body will rearrange itself into a dynamic being. Excuse me. And so you just have to keep that part simple and understand. That's why a little understanding of the spiritual side of life is vital in understanding the health side of life. It's hard to start looking at health from the ass end of the donkey. And that's just what science has been doing, looking at the ass end of the donkey, because they become too intellectual, too physical, too mind-oriented, which is totally unable to recognize truth. The mind is totally a conditioned instrument and cannot recognize truth. Only you can recognize truth. And that, of course, is the soul or consciousness. I know that you have decided to turn to alternative therapies. No, he didn't. He decided to go back to God and how God cures its creatures, which it created all of this. We decided not to use your alternative. The AMA is totally an alternative, and it's worked its way using the legislators to jail people like us, to try to shut us down so they stand tall. Their coats are so much starch in them, they stand on the rack, and all they have to do is get in them. I saw one nurse one day wearing her stethoscope around Home Depot, and I almost stopped her and said, You're going to use that in here? Or was that an ego ploy for you? You know, I mean, it's just insanity, you know, in that field, you know. And that this comes with the blessing of your mother, but I think this is not in your best interest in the short term. Well, he was nice in saying that. Now, this guy, they gave him, as I understand this, I can't, verify this, but he has met with, and his family's met with these doctors, and they told him he had only weeks to live. I mean, that's what I understand it to be. So he only has weeks to live. Their therapies are all cancer-causing. You can't operate on leukemia. And so, what's he thinking? We still haven't got all your money from you yet. We still haven't filled your body full of acids and made sure we killed you. Because remember, we're population control. You might think that sounds sharp, but you got to wake up to what's going on. Why would anybody in the civilized world allow an acid of around 1.5 to 2 pH to be injected into people? Knowing that you have to wear gloves, that it destroys the vascular, destroys cells, the good ones. Studies have already been done. So there is a willingness and a focus to do this. And if these people think there's nothing else, then they're so brainwashed, they're idiots. They're like robots. They don't know any better. Here, line up, we'll start an IV, we'll pour the juice to you, you're good. And let me go on, because this gets interesting here. We think that your chance of having a complete remission following proper treatment is more than 9 to 10. Now, whether he means is 9/10, whether he meant 9 out of 10 chances to win this, or 9 to 10%, wasn't specific there. If he says a 9 out of 10 chances to win this, he's flatly lying to you. And if you can get him to say that, if you'll give me 9 chances out of 10, and if I don't, I get everything you own, let's see if he would agree to that. Not going to agree to that because the FDA has already claimed 6% in oncology. If you look at these Cancer Centers of America and you stop your TV on their little graph, get past the first year, because anybody can get past the first year. Look at the second year and third year. They go right on down to the same thing all other oncology goes down to, and then by the time you hit the 5th year, you're down to 6% or 5%, and then after that, you're down to the 2%. That's even grafted on TV for you. So this guy is lying out his teeth like the guy lying about the little 4-year-old in cancer treatment. I have 65% cure rate. If it wasn't for his dad pumping this child full of raw foods, this kid had been long dead. And they don't get that. Oh, he couldn't make it. I mean, we have to stand up as the human race and get our world back, because it's consumed by the wealthy, the rich, the world bankers who have some agenda of control. If you think we're overpopulated, then talk to the people and talk about birth control in a more intellectual way. We can all come to find natural herbal birth controls and things, and where people can have the ability to have some protection, because you're not going to stop people from making love. So you've got to have, and we at this day and age can do that, but we don't have that thinking out there. And so now they have to think, how can we get rid of all those babies? And some of these hospitals are doing a real good job of it. I don't care how cold that sounds. Just take a look at the stats. Freak you right out. It's just sickening. We think, if he means 9 out of 10, he's lying through his friggin' teeth. Especially if this guy has only a few weeks to live. Get in mind, the AMA can't cure cancer, period. They really don't even know what cancer is. Now, a pathologist might be going, yeah, acid's damaging cells, and the pathologist might. But I can tell you, outside of that, not a lot of MDs know it's an autoimmune problem, and you treat it with chemo and radiation, the very thing that they are both cancer-causing, very cancer-causing, both of them. And yet people walk up every day out of fear and have this done to them. And, of course, they don't make it. And very few people make it. Just watch TV, very few make it. Right? It is true that the chemotherapy treatment is relatively intensive, but I have no doubt that you are both mentally and physically up to that treatment. Now, this is a guy that's given weeks to live, and this doctor writes something like this. I hate to call him a doctor, forgive me. And I have seen many patients go through it and have good outcomes. Many? 6%, bro. And if you're up to 10%, all right, 10%. Let's say you stretched it and he had a 10% success rate. Because he does the same treatment every other medical oncologist does. He has nothing new. So let's say that they scoot it to 10%. So out of 100 people, 10 of them live. I've worked with experimental chemotherapy groups where all of them died. Every single last one of them except the one I'm working on. I've seen that over and over again. I mean, sickening. No one ever tells you about all these people and all these experimental chemotherapy groups that are dying like flies. And there are 400,000 people in these groups. Just kills them all. Where's your 90% out of that? You see, they're just packed full of lies. The mind becomes egotistical and a liar. And that's why you have to watch The Jackal. It's just unbelievable. In addition, there are other more gentle treatments that can substantially shrink or slow down the disease without chemotherapy. Wouldn't you want to address the cause of this and get rid of it completely? Because let me tell you, if we can't save someone, and we're going to go to the 90% success rate, in this level of healing, 90 people out of 100 win, not 9%, and that would be pushing it. 90%. If you subtract the real tough cases that are very advanced that no one can save no matter what, you're around 90%. And in different cancers, you're up closer to 100%. If it wasn't for the medical intervention, and we caught all these breast tumors so much smaller, we'd have almost 100% success rate. It's just unbelievable. But now we're working on 6% for 5 years and then 2.5% or 3% thereafter. It's just not good. And so you might be one of the lucky ones that have survived it. So if you were, I would back up and go fix why I had it. Remember the lymphatic system. That's why it's a leukemia lymphoma type thing. In addition, let me see here, thereby protecting your body while you pursue alternative treatment options. It would be good to discuss those too. Well, I can't imagine what those are, you know, except for, and in this case, this wouldn't be suppressing testosterone with a Lupron or something wouldn't be adequate. And of course, all Lupron, Rumidex for females, and all that has been dubbed by the World Health Organization as cancer-causing. Funny how the World Health Organization, as crooked as they are, can cause something carcinogenic, and yet in America, it is something good for you. I don't get that. I am worried that while you are trying alternative therapies, see, and keep using the word alternative as if good luck. You're out in the wilderness trying something that has no validity or nothing. And that's typical medical doctor thinking. We have more validity than he even can write about. I don't even, you know, sometimes it's disturbing, you know, when you look at these things. Let me see. Okay. This particular disease is currently mostly around your lungs and your bone marrow, but while you were in hospital, your white cell count began to rise. Perfect. If it goes up, that's perfect. Even if it's way up there. Better to have way up there than you're not on the bone marrow. If it's way low, you're on the bone marrow. That's a much more serious problem. But the more serious a case is, the further you're away from the 6 and 2%. You got to remember that. And, of course, I'll tell you what will bring that white blood cell count down, chemo. Yeah, because that will destroy the bone marrow, and that'll bring then the blood work will look good enough for them to be okay, because that's all they give a heck about is your blood work. You know. You should look out for shortness of breath, weakness of visual problems, and could be symptoms of this kind of disease. You will never be in a better situation to have your disease cured, and these are all in bold print, than you are today. If this isn't a sales pitch letter, I've never seen one. Just a sales pitch letter. Boy, you're at the best time you could ever be. You're telling this kid he's got 2 weeks to live, and you're telling him he's in the best position he ever could be? What the hell is that? You know it? My regret is that your hasty departure from the ward meant that you could not involve the people around you with the proper information that you needed, and has meant that you have made a decision without being truly informed about your options. Listen, man, we all know the options of the medical community. I want you to know that regardless what you decide to do, now this is a pretty good doc here. It doesn't matter what you decide to do. You're always welcome to come back to this hospital. That was nice of him. On track, we provide any psychological and social support. It goes on and on and on. Reads like a, you know. So it's enough to say, watch out for these Dear John letters that you get from these guys, because to tell you the truth, you know, these guys are king-size liars. I don't care what anybody says out there. The stats do not support their conclusions. And if they're going to put this out, I would ask him to prove it. If he says that young man has 9 chances out of 10 to live, the problem with believing that is most of the time he's going to kill the man. And then, whoops. Sad stuff. But we're working on this guy, and he should have a complete and full recovery and be quite well. Plus, you know, of course, I don't know about the disease. I don't know what you can do about that dreaded disease. I suggest he just leave it at the hospital, you know, and then he'd be done with it. Understand what really is going on in the body and fix it. You know, everything is chemistry and physics, and you can't get outside of that. There's no mysteries. There's no autoimmunes. There's no, I'm not sure. There's, you know, all your genes are not there and all this kind of crap like that. I heard someone's got a new song up. Here's the neat words to Wellville. I just need to listen to it, and no one has played it for me yet. So, song for Dr. Morris. Thank you so much. Who did this one? Max. Max. Love you, man. Go, Max, go. I want to hear this song. Matter of fact, I'm still working on a couple of years from now having a big seminar, if you're all up for that, where we can all get together, say like in Atlanta, Georgia, where it's kind of a central hub. You can fly in from anywhere in the world to Atlanta. And maybe you'd like to sing and play the song. You know, I want to have a lot of music and creative arts and fun. You know, get together and have some fun. You know, everybody's worked so hard and working on their health issues. You got to let your hair hang down a little bit, you know. Now, this is, hello, I was recently told I have HIV. I've had tooth infection under my bridge for about 1.5 years. I got really, so you got to watch about this, irritation like that, because when you have irritation under the bridge, my sister's now deceased husband who killed himself because he didn't want to live, easy to cure that up, but he'd had the same problem and it became cancerous because of all the irritation to the cells and all the acids in the gums. And absolutely. So to hunk on your lymph system when you feel that. This is the lymph system. Get these lymph nodes cleaned up and drained down. Get these GI tract cleaned up, the kidneys filtering. I had this infection under the bridge. I got really sick on March 14th, 2014. That's just a few months ago. For 3 weeks and lost 13 pounds. Since then, my lymph nodes have been swollen more on the right than the left. So you see how that's that right kidney not filtering like it should. And so you see the lymph systems all swelling, backed up here. And that's just interstitial fluid going nowhere in no time. And of course, holding acids, so you're just holding all that there, chewing on you, basically. And then, of course, you're going to convert cells and stuff like that. And remember, virals are proteins. And most virals deal in the acid side of life. So the more, look at a herpes. Most people that have herpes simplex don't really know it unless they get too acidic in the mouth and then they pop out all over. Under high acidic conditions, viruses then take hold. Outside of that, base chemistry keeps them in dormancy, and if you detox, you'll detox all the virals out. This I suspected from the bridge being infected in June 2014. Well, that's just a month ago. However, the doctor insisted otherwise, hence the HIV test. He was so one. But you know what? The HIV virus didn't create that irritation. For him to think that, that's what I'm saying. They look at the ass end of the donkey first. No. This is the opposite is true. Your lymph system is your terrain. Your sewer department keeps your body clean. The blood can't be doing everything. Its pH has to be specific for the proper level of nutrients to be oxidized and all that is. So the lymph system has to clean you. When it doesn't, now it is a sewer system. And therefore virals, bacterials, funguses, you become a host. And all these HIVs, Hep Cs, all these virals, herpes, I'll say easy, but it's a detox. The only way you're going to get HIV out of you, man, is detox it out of you, and don't even give it a thought. Detox it out of you. Keep taking tests until you're clean, and you'll be done. You were just diagnosed. Should be very easy for you to get your kidneys filtering, get your lymph moving, your lymph nodes. That's not from the virals. That's from your lymph system. Virals are just proteins. They're there to attach to cells like antigens. They have nothing to do with sewage like acids. They are acids. They hook right to damage and weaken cells. That's why I say there's a big difference between HIV and AIDS, big difference between the Hep C viral loads and hepatitises and things like that. When you start moving the condition of tissue into an acidic medium, then virals have their playground. It's just nature. It's how nature gets rid of weakened cells. But the problem is we have created such a weak physical body genetically and lymphatically. Most people are a mess. So we are the hostess of the mostest. And change that. Change that. Don't make this a death sentence because that's stupid. HIV is as easy to get out as Hep C. But they can't, because they can't cure anything. So when you get a diagnosis from allopathy and they say there's nothing you can do, thank you, sir. I don't want to alternative practices like you. I want to go to traditional practices. Traditional medicine or traditional practices is botanicals, which is older in India and China and around the world, herbology or modern pharmacology. Sorry, and the modern pharmacology is a nightmare from hell, killing millions of people worldwide every year. So let me see. God doesn't quite work that way, does it? No. So get those two words changed around. And when someone says, oh, you do alternative, no, excuse me, let me inform you about the truth. We're traditional. They're alternative. Because if we can't get you, if I can't help someone, and no matter what level, you're in trouble. Big trouble. Go to the AMA. There might be something there, because I would have already sent you for surgeries if you needed it. So by the time we can't get you, there's no way Alternative has anything for you. But you could try. You could try. And that's when you would try. You know, you would try fixing yourself the right way, the way nature and God intended, and the backing up just the way you created this. You're just reversing it, and you're fixing causative problems. 99.999% of everybody is always successful if you stay focused and you don't deviate and you get to it, and you do it with open hearts and everything else. Open yourself up. Become a love puppy. However, the doctor says otherwise. All right, HIV. Since then, I started juicing greens to detox, and I'll back that up. Okay to do some greens, but to detox, do the fruits and berries and melons, because greens do not detox. I mean, they have a short span to do that, and that's it. And lots of fruit for the last 3 weeks and nothing else. I still work out and try to stay positive. I've been taking olive leaf pills in the highest form, pure oregano oil, cleaver's herb, and chlorella. Ditch the chlorella right now until you get over this. Then you can add it back if you want, but ditch the algae right now. We don't want any proteins in the body right now. So we don't want any dead single-celled organisms. And I've been drinking 9.5 pH water. Now, please, you guys, you got to listen to me. These jokers that set up 9.5, Keegan or whoever's doing this, is ridiculous. You can't put 9.5 into your body when you've got a 7.4 blood. That's why I'm getting people in here on the Keegan water that's not feeling so good from the 9.5. Way too alkaline. Alkaline isn't always the answer. It isn't, you know, in the day we always said alkalize, alkalize, alkalize. That was our motto. But it's really alkalized with balance. And when you eat fruits, berries, and melons, that chemistry is in total balance for the Homo sapien in the proper ratios that's required for the Homo sapien and the primates. These are the frugivore families on this planet. As far as I know, omnivores do like some fruits at times, but it's the primates and the Homo sapiens that are the ones designed for them, not horses and cows, although my horses would grab an apple over a carrot any day. Or in that day, we give them sugar cubes, of course, didn't know any better. But 9.5, bring that down to 8. You cannot. I would rather see you do baking soda and hit bicarbonate side than to do 9.5, because you could give yourself alkalosis. And we were just talking about it in here Friday. And there's people getting really lightheaded and dizzy taking the 9.5. And whoever recommended this, for me, doesn't have their head where it needs to be and can hurt people. You've got to realize chemistry rules, but chemistry in balance. And chemistry in balance dictates that foods are dominant on the base side, but not out the roof. I think cesium is what, the highest metal, and we're at what, 8, 8.5? And Fuji water along with apple cider vinegar. I'll be removing the bridge from my mouth this week, so I know once that is done. When you do that too, by the way, wash your mouth out with Heal All tea. Hold it in your mouth. You know, fix yourself a pan of that. When it cools down enough, hold it in your mouth, and if you want to, take the shavings in the pan and put it right over that sore spot. It'll pull that and heal that spot up. Internally, you know what you got to do. Your lymph nodes, your lymph system is going, hey, I'm in trouble, therefore virals are staying in me. And then you'll get rid of that HIV. And it's not difficult to get rid of HIV. Don't let people scare you out there. I've had all levels of that. So don't let people scare you. Don't be scared. Go in, get yourself detoxed, and win this game. Get on the herbs, get your fruit, get your grapes, start going on grape fast, get yourself up higher. The faster the better, because I don't know what condition your cells are in. What condition the cells are in. Now, let's see. This is, okay, inquiry. I am trying to help my mother, Joyce, with her multitude of problems. But I wanted to make sure I'm doing the right thing and I'm not going too fast here. Well, I appreciate that. I do. I appreciate someone that's asking, because that's a person concerned, and I like to take things in balance, because you'll win then. If you go too crazy, you know, the balance can flip back to the other side like a teeter-totter. You know, when you walk with balance, you don't go back and forth to either side. I've known people that went extremely raw and flew back to extremely cooked. You know, meat and everything, and back and back and back and forth. Find that balance for yourself. I am not new to your site or your program and have helped people before. Yeah, good. But I have never helped someone with so many problems and prescriptions. Well, that's a good question. This is a good question because if you'll start looking at every problem a person has, 90% or more, and almost 100% of them really, are in the lymphatic system. So once you focus on that system, you can pull things like congestive heart failure, pulmonary edema, cholesterol plaquing, high blood pressure, blood sugar problems. They all go together. They follow each other like a choo-choo train because they're coming from the same organs and glands. So once you start fixing them, the blood pressure comes down, the blood sugar normalizes, etc., etc., etc. So don't let so many symptoms overwhelm you. Just keep it simple. I got to go in the body, clean the sewer system up, which will in turn clean any blood problems up that might exist, and will remove all the inflammation, hydrate the interstitial fluids, cells rebuild, and now I've got a healthy body. If you knew nothing but how to detoxify people, and that's all you knew, and you didn't know anything about diseases, medications, or nothing, you just knew that certain medications you have to be careful with and others you don't. We've talked about this before. Steroids, anytime you're taking some steroid or hormone, even insulin, it's going to be a titration and hopefully getting the gland back in line again. Blood pressure meds, things like this, you can drop them at the top of a hat. I've worked with these for years. The other part is that I am over 1,000 miles away from her. Well, that's a problem, and can't guide her as well as I'd like. We just got back home from a trip up there to visit, and both her and my dad are open to pulling away from the medical doctors and get to the true healing. Well, you did a good job there. Right now, my dad is the one who takes care of her. She is pretty bad shape. Sad stuff. Generally, it's a woman taking care of the man. Look at this. And in desperate need of help. Well, let's help her. Her insulin for her diabetes was $1,000 for 90 days worth. And they call us expensive? Jesus criminy. People have their head on screwed wrong. I mean, that's insane. $1,000 for 90 days worth of insulin. And now it's going up to $3,600. $3,600 because of the Obamacare for insulin. I'm telling you, these people are bad news for this country. Going to bring it down, guys. Going to bring it down. I cannot stand the way the medical community is robbing from her. Like, no kidding. They're out of control. And who got them out of control? We did. Each and every one of us are a little responsible for allowing these jokers to get out of control because we never raised our consciousness up. We never took the time to question. We just fell in and everything, whatever you say. That was the same thing with the president. Whatever you say, sir. Now you see you've got some really crooked presidents. It doesn't matter. I mean, the whole world is gone. You all have to stand strong and keep your spirituality because these are tough times. The test is that. And the negative forces are always going to be biting at your heels. The mind is always going to be going, but what? But no. But you should be doing this. But. There's no buts. It just is. Truth is just the way it is. Right now, my mom is 63 years old. Okay, so she's a young woman here. Her history, she had her tonsils removed when she was 5. So at 5 years old, she had lymphatic problems. Oh, appendix removed at age 10. So she had major chronic bowels, which this is the lymph organ. So there you go. She's had major lymphatic problems since she was born. Probably her mother does. Diagnosed with gastritis at age 25. Well, obviously when you lost the appendix, you knew that your lymph system was backed up all in the gut wall. Thank God you guys know stuff like that. The allopathic people have no clue. You know, it does suggest, of course, this is all the way in the stomach as well. So, and discoid lupus at age 32. So systemic acidosis, big time, heavy lymphatic problems. She had back surgery, herniated disc at age 38. Are we surprised? Particularly L4 and L5. But with her condition, she could have any part of the spine down, but particularly lower back is going to go on her. Kidneys have been down and not filtering since she was a kid, so this can get really big on her. Had her gallbladder removed at age 40. See what I'm saying? The lymph in the wall of the gallbladder took the gallbladder out. The liver's right there, so that's backed up. It's probably backed over in the pancreas, and maybe even in the spleen. Of course, whoops, there's the heart right there. That's backed up there too. Right there's the lungs, the wall of the lungs. This interstitial fluid, guys, is everywhere. And when it's backed up in one place, it's backed up all over. And she's had the organs of the lymph system starting to be cut out. Then diagnosed with type 2 diabetes at age 54. Are we surprised? She's been losing her, haven't lost her kidneys all this time. And of course, what sits on top of them? The adrenal glands. And of course, the adrenal glands is where you get your type 2s and your hyperglycemia, in other words, and your hypo or low blood sugars. These are easier to get rid of than the type 1s a lot of times because of the genetic stance more of the type 1s. But are we right at the same place? All these things you see here are lymphatic problems, and they all from kidney and adrenals, even diabetes type 2, or what they call diabetes, but blood sugar problems where you have high blood sugars. Your sugar metabolism is off. Adrenal glands. She took oral pills at first and now 2 different insulins. Well, because she's losing her kidneys and adrenals, and that kills us all, guys. She monitors her own blood sugar levels. It's usually around 123, and the doctors want her levels below 100. Well, let's talk about that a minute. In most labs, blood sugars are 65 to 99. Some labs go up a little higher, 120 in some labs. I saw one lab, 130 was high, ridiculous labs. But most labs agree 65 to 99. 65 is too low. If you have 65 blood sugars on a fasting or non-fasting, you're hypoglycemic. I would say even if you're in the 70s, you would have a tendency toward hypoglycemia. But if you can get your blood sugars to 120 to 140 without any insulin whatsoever, I would jump off of that if it was me. Because the problem is insulin is a hormone, and the pancreas is an endocrine-exocrine gland. So the more you take the insulin, the less your beta cells are going to produce them. It's that simple. And so the problem with your mom is the more she takes insulin, the lower her body's ability to make her own is. So you got to go into that pancreas and hit that pancreas. And you don't have to worry about it getting below 100 right now. There's a ton of people walking on this earth in the 120s, 130s every day of the week. We don't give insulin in hospitals to you over 200. Now this is probably on insulin that they're talking about. But it should not be difficult. Now, on raw foods, fruits and vegetables, she's still going to have blood sugar problems. Why? Because she's having sugar metabolism problems. Hence, no matter simple sugar or poly or complex, she's going to have trouble. But she's going to have a lot more trouble on di and polysaccharides. That's your starches, that's your grains, your potatoes, all of the pastas. All of that is high sugars. And most people have trouble with them anyway. So it's enough to say that no matter what you see, you got to go after the adrenals and kidneys, and you've got to get this blood sugar down where you're off of insulin and on something like Glucophage or something. And that's what you're going to have to watch. When she can go low enough to get off the insulin, we need to do that for her, because getting on the insulin it's a nightmare. I tell you, this is what Marcy's fighting, because she's been on it for 32 years. Look at anybody on a steroid for 32 years and try to come off of it. You're in big trouble. They don't keep people on steroids except Jerry Lewis, poor guy. And he can't even breathe anymore because they've shut his adrenals down so much they didn't realize, oh, look, neurotransmitters are also produced in the adrenals, which controls breathing. So Jerry Lewis can't even hardly make a lecture anymore because he has no breathing power, losing his nervous system. But they can't help people like that. They never could. But she says she gets literally if she gets below 100. Yeah, because she's used to the higher blood sugars, and I wouldn't even, I'm sorry, these guys are crazy. I don't know where they come from. When you have a case like this, 120, thank you, I'll take that. But off of insulin, all right? And this is another thing you're going to have to watch. How fast will she come down? And that's what you're going to have to watch when you start going into her adrenal glands and you're getting her kidneys filtering and you're starting to make her healthy and you're pulling all that inflammation and mucus out of the adrenal glands. The cortisol is going to go up. Everybody's going to go up. And so her blood sugar will come down nicely. Heart surgery for 4 blockages at age 60. This lady's, her kidney and adrenals are causing her a mess. Why the heart blockages? She's had a quadruple bypass then, right? Well, what system is cholesterol plaques in, and what system is the cholesterol system? Not the blood, guys. It's the lymphatic system. Does squeeze the artery walls, no question. So why would it plaque? Acidosis. What system is that? The lymphatic system. What controls the lymphatic system? Kidneys and adrenals. See, she's had multiple problems, but they're all coming from the same sources, guys. Don't be confused, because that's the mind confusing you. All these are easily linked together, Then diagnosed with heart failure at age 61. Well, she probably has some CHF a little bit anyway because of her lymph system. Sounds like it's backed up in every wall of every tissue in her body, but it would be at least from the kidneys. She has edema. Of course she has edema. She's in kidney failure. And 90% of the time she is filling up with fluid. She's in big trouble. You got to get her on all raw right now. All raw. Forget anything cooked. Get her on all raw. Vegetables too. Give her a salad at the end of the day, all fruits and berries and melons through the day. But as soon as you can get her to get rid of that salad or replace it with a green drink, and then get rid of the green drink, you'll be able to pull the edema out and get on I would get her on at least a 14-week protocol. That's perfectly set up for her, and we don't even need to write it up. I made it up to fit someone like her, and she needs to get with this because she's getting edemic everywhere. What's causing all the edema? What side of chemistry? Everything is chemistry. What side of chemistry is causing edema? Acidosis, acids, absolutely. And which system deals with the acids in the human body? Not the blood, the lymph system and the interstitial fluids. So this is a real big deal. And so she's got, but you can trace this one back, can't you? All the way back to she had her tonsils removed when she was a young girl. Of course, if they would have not been so heavy-handedness on iridology and everything, people would be looking at her eyes. Maybe medical doctors have been taking pictures and, oh, look what I see. Because remember, a surgeon discovered it. And was hospitalized many times for that at age 61. At age 62, she developed an ulcer on the bottom of her right foot that she doctored for a year. Well, do you see why she can't heal? Do you understand why you can't heal in ulcerated or gangrenish type conditions? Because you're so acidic. You're doing nothing to hydrate. You're doing nothing to get rid of these acids. And everything they do is just to lock the body deeper into acidosis. Or give you more. Most pharmaceuticals are acids, and gnarly ones at that. That's why they have so many more side effects, because when you're going in an acid environment and you're adding more acids, that doesn't match what we know in chemistry. So who taught them chemistry? Who's teaching these pharmaceutical companies chemistry? They're supposed to be real smart, aren't they? Unless there's a concerted effort to what? So how's she going to heal the bottom of the foot? I'd be soaking in salt water, get some Heal All salve and put that on that wound. But this is an internal problem. You're going to be lucky to heal it up that way, because you can't heal in a highly acidic medium. And I've been preaching that for a long time. When you're acidic, you can't rebuild cells. That's why detox is the first portion of regeneration of tissue. Always. Because you can't regenerate that which is steeped in acidosis. That dictates corrosiveness in the other side of chemistry. With no success, then infected the bone. She's in trouble. No one's helping her. Better be careful. Oh no, it gets worse. So the doctors recommended amputation, and she agreed and had that done November 2013, just below the right knee. We could have saved that easy, guys. Not to look at hindsight, but that's all these jokers know how to do, is remove these tissues. They know how to clean that out and rebuild that tissue. Jesus Christ. The left knee is also in pretty bad shape, and she gets cortisone. Listen to this. She gets cortisone shots, which is going to lower her own cortisol levels, which is already low because she's on insulin. That's smart. To help her with that. You got to realize they're a treatment-based system with pharmaceuticals, and they don't give a hoot what happens. They're there just to treat symptoms. Keep that in mind. And they're alternative. That's why you wait to the last before you go to them. Because if not, you're going to screw yourself up real bad, like they've done your mom here. Sad stuff. You can get her back, but sad she already had to lose part of her leg. That stuff's easy to save. Oh my God. And that she is not very mobile. Guess not. Also, she has multiple UTIs. Do you guess? Why would you have multiple UTIs? What does that tell you? Urinary tract infections. She's already in kidney failure. And I bet you if you looked at her creatinine, it had warned the doctors a long time ago. She grew up and lived her life like most Americans, eating the standard diet of meat and potatoes. Here is a list of her medications, which she obviously wants to get off of. Yeah, there's a whole line of these. She's on Lasix for the edema. She's on some of these I don't ever even know. She's on nitroglycerin, iron. Yeah, she's on blood pressure medications. But she's on some I don't even know. I want to start as safely as I can and get her well. So any advice you have is invaluable to... Oh, you betcha. Matter of fact, if you need any help, call in here. But you get your mom turned around. Sorry she had to lose a leg. She didn't have to. I take that personal, when you start removing something like in a person when that's not difficult to fix in the first place. When she'd been battling this for a year, we could have taken care of that right off. A few months, boom, she's done. Had both legs and everything else. She's done off of this. You should be able to fix someone up like this in under 6 months easy. Totally, under 6 months easy. Especially if you get them focused. You can clean up almost everything here in under 6 months easy. I know we need to proceed slowly with eliminating all these medications. Maybe so, but I'll say this to you. Get on the kidney formulas and get on the adrenal, get on the lymphatic formulas, clean up the bowels, and you can start, as the edema comes out, you can get rid of the Lasix because most of the herbs in the kidney formulas are diuretic in nature, particularly kidney number 2 and kidney number 4. The high blood pressure medications, you're going to watch the blood pressure come down. The sooner the better. One weans one off of medications, that is. I would rethink cortisone shots in the knee. Lantus, she's on a pen. She's on, Navalox. She's on some insulin. And the only thing I can tell you, you're going to have to watch that as her blood sugars come down. You're going to have to ditch them. She's on 2 different kinds. She's going to have to work with her MD on this, or a nurse practitioner, or she's going to have to think for herself. And things to sleep, get the pineal gland to make her sleep. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do here. You're going to need to keep your nitro for a while since they did the surgery on the heart. But you want to go in and fix this. I would do lower circulation, upper circulation, because my guess is she's got either calcifications all through her. She's already had the coronaries replaced. Now, what's next? Head, cerebral strokes. So you really want to get her going. I'd get her add upper and lower circ to my protocols, but I'd go after that lymph system like now. I wouldn't take my time on a diet. I'd get her moving fast and now. I mean, no more legs removed, no more heart attacks, things like that. Let's get your mom turned around, and at least she can have a good years. The rest, she's still a young woman. That's the thing. This case is not a difficult case. It sounds it, but it's not. Almost everything there is directed from one source. Not a difficult case to fix up at all. The meds, you can come and go off of them. I mean, just you have to look at each one of them, see what they're for, and ask yourself, if your medical doctor won't help, best is go to your medical doctor and say, I'm coming off these meds, I'm doing this and this and this, and I'm going to watch my stats and my blood pressure. The blood pressure meds is obvious. When your blood pressure is low, starts lowering, then you can start lowering your medications. You do a half a pill, you come off of one if you're on 2 or 3, blah, 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 blah. The insulin's the same way. You've got to titrate, but you've got to use it according to your blood sugars, because as your blood sugars start coming, as you fix your adrenals, your blood sugars are going to start coming down. You might see some days of up and down, but be very, very careful with blood sugars. I will say that. Be very, very careful with blood sugars, because I had a lady go into a diabetic coma years ago, and I warned her and her parents, watch her blood sugars. Well, they didn't think anything about it, because people don't understand the power of this level of healing. And so, she's alive and well, but she had to go through a little bit of a hospital stay and a little bit of some crap because they didn't listen. So you just got to monitor everything. When it's safe, bam. Don't make it a bigger deal than it is. And she has multiple problems tied to the same thing. And it sounds like she's very, very acidic. If her lymph system's this bad, it'll take her within 6 months easy to get all this. You should be able to get her blood sugar, since it's 2, blood pressures, all this. You can get that down in a few months. But the deeper cleansing, because you want to get up in her head, because with coronaries blocked, you got the cerebrals. It's just a matter of time that you're anticipating a stroke there. So you want to back her up, upper circ, brain and nerve, lower circulation, and then all the lymphatic and kidney formulas, liver, gallbladder formulas. Follow that 14-week protocol. That'll deworm her and everything else at first and get her going slow, and then bam, off you go. Your mom's got some strength to handle all this, and she needs to get that back and save herself. This is not a difficult case. And listen, for those on the Facebook, you could have saved this lady's leg. These are not difficult. You see how it didn't heal? She tried it for a year to heal. Why couldn't it heal? She's way too acidic. That should have been the first thing the medical doctor said. Well, you're way too acidic. We can't heal when these things are highly acidic. I mean, the salves help, no question. The herbal side's the only side that'll benefit her. But with that said, you still got to go inside and get her lymph filtering, because she's going to lose her kidneys. Check her creatinine level, by the way, my friend. And that you might be surprised. That might be a big problem for her. Okay, it's another letter. I hope this note finds you well and happy. Pretty much. I have been watching and rewatching your videos, eating 80% fruit and taking herbs for 6 months. Wow. I feel lymph slowly moving out of my body, and I am correcting various health imbalances in myself and my husband. Good work, honey. Good work. Good job. Good woman, too, working on the old man. And good for the old man to let it in. When I compare my iris picks from early February to the ones I had taken at your class in late April, I see changes that compel me to keep honking on. Good. Thank you so much for inspiring those positive channels. Oh, thanks a lot. Thank you, sweetheart. What's your questions here now? For 5 years, I was determined to reverse the cataracts found in both of my eyes at age 46. Now, that's scary. At age 46, having cataracts. Knowing cataracts is cholesterol is a bit, it's almost easier to get rid of a tumor than cataracts. It really is, because it takes a while for them to come on. If you've had them for 40-some years old, you were developing it probably in your 30s. That means your head's also plaqued up. So this is real important. Upper circ, brain, and nerve, number 2. Those 2 things are what you want to do to kind of get blood and everything going. And then you want to detox. You want to get the GI tract detox, because you need to detox those sinuses and start cleaning all these lymph nodes. All these lymph nodes are all clean and clear and drained, because you can't get a remedy out of that till you do in moving these cataracts out. At the end of last year, I finally had surgery in both eyes, and once I found you and your videos in mid-January, continued on with my detox. Well, once you got them out, at least now don't form them back. Much deeper level. One of my goals is to reverse the decline in my eye health that contributed to cataracts in the first place. Well, absolutely. But that's also you have to consider in the head area too, and this head sits on top of bowels, kidneys, and everything down below. So you got to clean up from the kidneys all around, and it'll just start coming cleaner from up here. A couple of weeks ago, I had my 6-month post-surgery checkup and was excited to sense the doctor's surprise at finding my chart reading ability improved from the 5 months ago. Then I was watching an older video of yours, question and answer 173, around whatever, and heard you talk about lymph congestion in the head causing nearsightedness and farsight. Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can cause all kinds of neurological and vision problems with the lymph system, from suppression to actually breaking down, mutating, all of these things, absolutely. Just filling the sinuses full of mucus is enough to affect your eyesight, because this mucus gets in your fluids and everything else, and then you get these mucus floaters and you can't hardly see, that sort of thing. That's where you use the eye wash, topically internally. While you don't know of anyone specifically going after those issues, you had heard of people improving or eliminating their autism through detox, and it got me thinking. When I used to wear glasses for nearsightedness and autism, pre-cataract diagnosis, the lenses gave me fixed levels of correction. As I aged, my eyesight would decline, and every couple of years I would experience eye strain and need new, stronger lenses. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing is, and this is also true with the sun and sunglasses, the more you use sunglasses, the less you can stand the light of the sun. The problem is you go blind if you do that. Forget sunglasses. Get your eyes used to full spectrum lighting. If it's hard on you, it shows you how acidic you are. Because acid on top of acid. When you get your interstitial fluids in a base dominance balance, the sun will be nurturing to the optic nerves, because that's another level of healing, is color therapy. That goes through the optic nerves, and all these colors have specific organs and glands, and they have specific actions on the body, just like specific minerals, specific metals, specific salts, specific plants. All has specific actions. That's what makes them outstanding to pharmaceuticals and things, that even though it has what you might think of specific actions, most of that isn't in the healing side of life at all. It's more in the suppressive side on specific tissues. Now I have had lenses implanted that, again, provided fixed levels of correction, one for distance and one for reading. As I keep improving the health of my eye tissues through detox, do you think it is possible that I could witness a reverse of that situation and need weaker lenses? Absolutely. Matter of fact, that's the way I'm doing it. And I've needed weaker and weaker, and we've had hundreds of people always going back and back and back. Weaker lens, weaker lens, weaker lens, weaker lens. Always. Always. Surgery and detox combined already mean that I no longer need glasses of any kind. I'm starting to glimpse a fairly strong constitution in my eye. Fix. Good deal. I know that upper circ brain are doing eye wash or cleaning and strengthening my eyes. Absolutely, sweetheart. The thought of repeating surgery in each eye, nah, that doesn't sound very good to me. More trauma to tissue isn't a lot of fun. Putting a kink in my full steam head detox. Well, don't get another eye surgery. Go gangbusters. My husband says I worry too much. I'm with your husband on this one, but I get the feeling that even after my chronically weak adrenals are fully repaired, I still wonder about this. So you worry too much. I agree with your husband. Mr. Mind, throw the mind in the wastebasket for the day, or put the mind in the corner on a chair, along with the ego, and go right in to keep digging in, sweetheart. Use raw eye tissue. You can all do all kinds of stuff if you want. Eye glandulars. As a future practitioner, I'd like to understand this. If an iris shows a weakness in a particular organ or gland, first, how do I decide between herbs and glandulars for that weakness? Oh, let's stop right there. The more chronic the symptom, the more I use the glandulars. The more deep the crevice, like a crevasse, then yeah, and the darker these lacunas are, absolutely going to use a glandular to try to wake it up. Because when you look at these little patterns in the fibers of the eye, the deeper, the darker, the more serious, brown or blue eyes. So really, when they're dark, take a glandular just to kick it up in gear, and then come off of it and hit with the herbs. Or use both. It depends on the case and how the financial picture. It depends how deep the case is, how life-threatening the case is, and all that. And second, how can I know without a diagnosis from an ND whether that organ or gland might have a tumor present, precluding use of a glandular? Well, that's a good question. You can see in the eye. If you see thick lymph around tissues, you can assume that you have the ability to grow a cyst or a tumor. If you really want to know, then I guess an ultrasound might be the safest. Or if you could find a digital CAT scan or something, if you really want to know. But it sounds like you might worry a little bit according to your husband, and do you really want to know? Just go after your health. Detox your lymph system. Then you're assured to get rid of it. Could you please explain the differences between thyroid glandulars and desiccated thyroid-like armor? Well, glandulars are desiccated, but armor is a hormone. It is actually T4-thyroxine. It's actually a hormone where the glandulars are no hormones in them. It is the gland itself desiccated. And that is, it's like cells, like cells. It's almost the opposite of magnetics. You know, it's like, even though opposite attract magnetically, I'm always attracted to someone that's closer to the way I think and stuff. That's who I'm attracted to. And like-minded people get off on each other. We feed each other because we can have higher levels of conversation than I just went to the store and bought a sack of potatoes. So we can have higher levels of conversation. That's what these glands do to the cells. They offer them a higher level of energetics, a higher level. Oh, look, even though it's desiccated, that consciousness from those cells are still there. And energetically, and have been proven to go to those tissues through radioisotopes. So we know all of this. They've done so much work on these glandulars. But just to say that we as a race on planet Earth, pretty advanced in the decay of tissue, and whatever we can to work ourselves back, we need to do that. So that's why you want the glandular. You don't want to take a hormone or steroid. And Jensen thought take armor since it was natural it'd be okay. So he put himself on armor and his wife Marie on armor. Should have never done that. When I met him, they were real bad off in the thyroid gland, especially his wife. I've got 4 cats I want to detox. Ooh, that's a good one. Ooh. They eat from the same plate. My plan is to put all herbal formulas that I suspect any one of them might need beyond kidney, lymph, adrenals, parasites into the same water. Good idea. Do you think it could do any harm to be working on everyone's liver, everyone's thyroid? Well, I think with a cat, you can use the endocrine gland formula. And using that endocrine gland formula will be sufficient for the endocrine glands, I think, in a cat. You just have to see if that will be. It wouldn't hurt to maybe do a little liver gallbladder with that cat a little bit. But the lymphatic formulas, the kidney formulas, perfect choice. But you're not using very much, just a couple of drops. Everyone's reproductive system, you could work on that, but I would work on the other first. Work on the lymphatic systems first and all this. With cats, they don't have the GI tract and the stuff to deal with fruits and stuff like that. They even have to have their veggies pre-digested. We don't even do well, and we have a longer GI tract than omnivores and carnivores by far. We're kind of the third up the line toward herbivores in length of gut. When you're bowled back down to the cat family, you're in a total redesign of the gut tissue. They're not ringed. They don't have the villi. They're smoother, less absorption. But meat putrefies pretty quick. So they need pre-digested grasses. That's why, remember, we talked about how the animals go to the stomachs of animals and stuff to try to get the intestines, to get the pre-digested vegetable, because they still need vegetable matter. Thank you so much for sharing your Sherry, hey, a.k.a. Iris Pupil Now. Yeah, thanks, Sherry. There's no question that it's harder to get up in the brain. There's no question that it's harder to get up here in a detox situation. And it's just that you have to start cleaning everything down below, the GI tract, and in the wall of the esophagus, the stomach, the intestines, in the liver, the pancreas. There's some work to do. And this is interstitial, so it's around the cell. That's why it can take years and years and years until things show up. But you start right off with your mother. And like that one lady started right off with her mother. She had to have her tonsils removed at 4 years old. Her lymph system was already a mess at 4 years old. So you can see why in the 60s she's having, infectious bone stuff. But all that could have been handled. That's a thing that upsets me and why I feel you guys are so valuable. And this mother's just a good case. She lost her leg from her knee down for no reason. That could have been saved. I just can't tell you. We do well with gangrene, so it just shows you, and it's just sad stuff. Sad stuff, and that's why you can go out to the alternative practitioners of allopathy, but they don't know how to get you well. They're the last chance stop, not here, and you would never visit them very often. That's the problem. You would probably have one medical doctor to every metropolis because you just wouldn't need them much. What you would need is good surgeons, and that's where I think allopathy needs to stop: is surgery and emergency rooms. Let's see, pregnancy question. Don't get near me. Just kidding. My name is Michelle Woods. I'm 28-year-old, soon to be Michael Woods. I am a 28-year-old, soon to be father. 3rd of December, living in Sydney, Aus. Just want to start by saying that you speak the truth. Thank you, my dear man. Thank you very much. I love your work. I've been employed as a fitness coach. Yeah. You know, it's funny because they were talking on Fox News the other night of the fields that need people in. And believe it or not, there's a huge demand for personal trainers. And I thought, how cool. Because most of you can be personal trainers because you know when to hold them, when to fold them. For the last 10 years, up until a few weeks ago, I realized that all the nutritional stuff that I'd been taught is absolutely bull. You're right on. Athletes still drink Gatorade. Oh! Yeah, and Gatorade has a pH of 2.85. That's a little hotter than Coke. 2.85. Now, I don't get the same burn here, but I get the same burn in the stomach. I get a burn in the stomach when I do Gatorade. Of course, I've done Gatorade in years. Matter of fact, I never did do Gatorade much. But I've tasted it before, probably back in the 60s. And indigestion and everything else. There's no way I'd ever put a Coke to my mouth. What an eye-opener. It is an eye-opener. And, you know, you're expected to give a rehydrating juice, and you're getting them an acid drink? What the hell is that? So we just have it all screwed around. 12 months ago, I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism. I was told I had an autoimmune disorder. Well, right there, the doctor was telling you the truth. I don't know what caused this. I don't know how to fix it, but it's an autoimmune problem, which I now know is absolutely crap. You're absolutely right. I was told by an endocrinologist that I'd be on thyroxine for the rest of my life. When I asked what the cause of my condition was, he had no idea what to say. Isn't that horrible when you guys know more? I mean, gee, man, I love you guys. You guys have learned so much, and you're proving it on yourselves, and that's the big thing. Because once you experience and know how to fix yourself, then you're steeped in knowledge, and you're steeped in awareness, because you know the truth, you lived it. And once you live the truth, no one can take you off your game because you lived it, you know. Now I'm eating 100% fruit, going hard. Whew, this is a butt-kicking guy right here, guys. Michael Wood, Michelle Woods, Mitchell Woods. Sorry, man. I need to have my cataracts removed. Wait a minute, I don't have cataract. To assist the fruit, I'm taking a glandular for my thyroid. Good idea. Endocrine, stomach and bowels, and kidney and bladder. Yeah, you don't have to take that thyroid glandular very much. I can just tell you, if the 150s, do 1 a.m., 1 p.m., do 1 bottle, you're done. I wouldn't do too much. And what I would do is check my basal temperatures before and after, or check them once a week or something like that. Make sure your basals are going up nicely. You can always muscle test to see if you've had enough of it, so you don't have to overhit the thyroid, let me tell you. But keep in mind, it might be pituitary. Just keep that in mind. If that's not helping, then you might think pituitary. You got it right on. It's early days, 3 weeks, but I've already lost a few kilos from my body. I'm feeling a lot clearer and have more free-flowing musculoskeletal movement. And man, as a body trainer, let me tell you, once you get them, the malabsorption and everything taken care of in your people, and you start putting the weight on them, there's a power that comes into your muscles that you can't describe. There's a power that comes in when you remove this acid resistance to the flow of God force. And I just can't explain it to you. The same size muscle is 100 times more strong, more powerful. You'll see as you go down that road. Fix your digestion, fix your malabsorption. Fixing the adrenals is fixing utilization. And getting, of course, we're going through the back end and fixing all this. But once it's done, your athletes, holy crap, you guys have experienced a level that few do. You're going to love it, love it, love it. Guarantee you love it. I'm feeling a lot clearer. Heaps of spirit talk too, 11-11. Oh. You know, 11-11, and I see 1-11 too. You know, I love 11-11. I always think it means that we, as individuals, we stand together. But as individuals. I don't know. But it sure is cool stuff. And I got a book on it. I found a book in a New Age store in Sarasota called 11-11. Of course, they didn't focus right in on what it meant because people were conjecturing. My goal is to start seeing some filtration. That's the key. Filtration, filtration, filtration. You guys are getting this down. You guys are getting so good. I'm telling you, I'm real proud of each and every one of you guys from the heart, guys. The reason for my email is that my partner, Tarryn, I'm not even attempt that, remember, country boy, and I were wondering what she should be eating during pregnancy. Well, that's when I kind of believed you could do some green drinks and added some parsley and dandelion in there and maybe some spinach. But the alfalfas, like, give a good example, just the Bones formula. Now, major nutrition, major. But if all she would need to do is take, like, the superfood blend, I mean, out the roof nutrition. And she doesn't need to take a whole lot of it. But doing that she's going to carry a baby, or she is carrying a baby, want to make sure her parathyroid, to see her fingernails, make sure she's maintaining her calcium levels. But she needs to take a little higher calcium food. Take the superfood blend, a rounded teaspoon 3 times a day for her. Whoo! Power Kid coming out the chute. Power Kid. You know, God's blend number 2. I mean, there is no more nutrition. No one gets that kind of nutrition in nature. So that's way up there. So that's good. Let me see here. Pre-pregnancy, she was vegetarian, fruitarian. Good woman. When she fell pregnant, her blood test showed decreased levels of iron in her blood. Well, you know, she's got 2, she's sharing. That's go adrenals now. The medical doctors freaked out and put her on an iron supplement and told her to start eating red meat again. Her adrenals are down. She's not getting the iron out of her food. But, you know what? Go to that superfood blend. There's where you get plenty of iron, but keep her adrenals up because she's going to be stressing with all this stuff going on. It's going to stress her kidney and adrenals. A woman, this is a big deal for a woman to go through, carrying another life in her. She's got to share fluids. She's got to share calcium. She's got a lot to do. So it's a big deal for a woman to do all this. We didn't like the ideas, but didn't know what to do. They use fear. They just use flat-ass fear. At any moment, she's gone away from her normal diet, eating animal meat. No, because that'll just toxify her. The protein will damage her kidneys and bowels. The infant will acidify the fetus. No, get off of that free. And some dairy. No. You'll just put mucus, fill that little kid full of mucus and acidosis. This guy is full of crap. Can you please outline what you feel a pregnant woman should be eating? I think she should have a good fruit. I think she should eat all the fruit she can. You know why? Fruits and berries. The maturing of the brain and nervous system of the fetus. Knowing that most people have weak adrenals and weak kidneys, you want to eat the foods that support that even in the embryo and fetus. So you want to have a high fruit and berry diet. I'd have a big salad every day, or take the green drinks instead where you power it up. Alfalfa, major plant. But if you do the superfood blend, just 3 rounded teaspoons 3 times a day, honking on nutrition. Question is, can you digest it, absorb it, and utilize it? Those are your questions. Not what to take. It's easy to learn what to take. That's mega nutrition. Your superfoods are alfalfas, or your kelps, or your royal jellies. are your berries. Your dandelion greens can be considered a superfood in my case. Parsley. There's a lot of superfoods that are packed with nutrition. All the A's, B's, C's, D's, E, F, and G's. But to go back on animal meat and dairy, she's losing her point here. She's got to go back. Don't let a medical doctor scare you. Tell him to eat the meat and the dairy products. You don't want to get sick. Thank you very much. This is all putrefactive food and will only add mucus and pus in the body of you, the mother and the infant. Not smart. Please change her mind. What we can do to build her iron levels without the animal meats. If you just have to, go to the health food store and get the bitters formula. It's high in iron, the Swedish bitters. You can see them on there, high in iron. They make a special formula, high in iron. All those herbs are good for the livers and everything else, of course, where the iron is an issue. But remember, the metabolism of iron is an adrenal gland, a steroid issue, so you need to make sure your adrenals are healthy. See where I'm going with that? And just eat a good, healthy diet like you're doing, plenty of iron. Your body will work that right out. And what's amazing is they'll jump to something like that when they don't do consecutive blood workups to get a diagnosis if it's going to stay that way. There's so much out there about what pregnant women should be eating. What makes you think she should be eating anything different than she is now, except for the meats and the milks? I can't believe she did that. That's what I mean when you're not strong in your knowingness. You're able to have a wacko medical doctor, sorry for you good medical doctors, but a wacko guy that knows nothing about health, get this lady back on dead animal tissue and their milks, but ultra-pasteurized milks, which is up there close to plastic in its chemistry. She's just going to fill her body full of mucus, which she's trying to get rid of, and the infant's body full of mucus. The high protein is going to damage the GI tract and the kidneys, so there's more problems. There's nothing good about any of that food for her. I would rather see her substitute an iron supplement if she had to, which is ridiculous. You know, clean up the body. Clean up the body, get the adrenals up, and you'll see her iron will go perfect. Why would she need to change her diet from the superfoods of nature to the toxic foods of nature? Because that's what he's telling you. He's telling you that her diet is the superior foods, but he wants her to eat the toxic and putrefactive foods. Foods that this species is not really good with at all. It shows you how ignorant that area is of consciousness and how you were so easy to grab to that without knowing and realizing the power of adding dead tissue and their milks in your body with the fetus. You've just got to get strong on knowing that your fruits and your berries hold the highest nutrition on the planet, magnetically and chemically. Vegetables, good old boys, they're full of nutrition. Okay, some of them. But remember, most of them are hybrided down like crazy. All your herbs are full of nutrition, much more than vegetables, but they are vegetables. Remember, in this country, at least we do one thing right, and we classify herbs as foods, not medicinos, because they are predominantly foods with a twist. But you've got a Swedish bitters formula with iron in it. You can get it at any health food store. Go get that. There's so much out there about pregnant women and their eating. But you remember that. Why would you sacrifice the top food? We're not eating fruits and berries because they're the lowest form of nutrition. Are we? Didn't think so. You know, it's just that people have their minds screwed on wrong. You know, remember I told you about this 3-doctor professor in Canada. And we've talked. Fruits, berries, highest nutrition of all the foods. Banana, the perfect food of this planet. For frugivores, for us, not for a cat. We are trying to do what's best for our baby. Well, what's best for your baby is the same thing that's good for you because it's the same species, if you hadn't noticed, unless you were like, what's her name, on a spaceship that got impregnated somehow by some weird thing. Same species. So what makes health in you makes health in what? Thank you. Thank you. Don't get waylaid. Don't freak out and go, oh, because that shows your lack of faith in what you're doing. That your lack of understanding that you're just detoxing on some fruits and just to clean me out and rebuild my body and get me better. But, oh, wait a minute. If I'm eating this diet that cleans my body and rebuilds it, what would be good for the fetus? Oh, no, we'll give them dead animals and milks, that which makes disease. Or disease. Yeah, that's what we'll give them. You see what I'm saying, guys? Be strong in your knowingness of what's superior, and you're eating it. You don't think inferior foods are going to detoxify and rebuild cells, do you? Of course not, because none of the other practitioners out there get even close to the level you guys are getting. So don't be fooled. Be strong in your knowingness, and that's why I hit you on this. By now, most of you should be getting real strong in your knowingness of what's good for you. Because foods that rebuild and clean you are the top foods on the planet for our species. All right. Mitchell? Sorry about that, but you got to get strong in that. You want what's good for your baby, it's the same thing that's good for you. And what's bad for you is also bad for the baby. Same way. Just different levels. Different levels. I give all our infants these herbs. We've got infants on these herbs. Same herbs you're on. Why would I change them? Dosages is the only difference. Dosages. These are little people. Hello, Dr. Morse. My name is Yam, and I'm from Israel. Yam, nice to see you. Well, you guys are going through hell. All the Palestinians are going through hell. All you guys are going through hell. Too bad we can't just lay down our arms, hug and kiss and make up, isn't it? But you got to have adventure and drama everywhere in the universe, and this is a good level to have it on. I want to thank you again for your kindness and any day. I get a little passionate here, but you know what? We've got to wake up and realize what's going on around here. Big problem. I wanted to ask you a question on genetic weaknesses. You talk about this a lot, but I have a hard time trying to figure out exactly what you mean by this. What are genetic weaknesses and why are they caused? Why do some people have more and some have less? And what differences in health can people with weaknesses and those without experience throughout life? Thank you. My friend Yam, that's not a little question. You know, when you come to school, I have the first morning is set up, and we go over the God worlds that we at least know of by those that have had out-of-body experiences, as myself and billions of other souls. The map makers, plenty of great souls like Twitchell and the guy that has the out-of-body clinic, Monroe. John, I think it is. He's an avid out-of-body traveler himself. There's been a lot of map makers. And it's enough. All the religions have their seats in the heavens. So it's easy when you step back from the mind and you start putting together this huge puzzle of God and creation. And you add the map makers, what those spiritual beings that can travel out of the body and more closer to themselves and travel in these different levels of heavens. Even Jesus did. Plenty of good stuff there. Good stuff with Buddha. There's good stuff all around. But the Eckmasters found the most. And you can study it. You can look it around. Those Sanskrit writings are full of good stuff. But this has all been, these levels, we know quite a bit about them. And you have to understand a little bit of how creation is made to understand how a physical body, where the physical body sits in relationship to you, the consciousness that uses it. Because you know you're going to lose this body at one time or another. Fact of life. You come here, you play, you fight, you kiss and have babies or whatever, and then you leave. And you're going to drop this shell every time because it's a physical shell. It is not an etheric shell. It can't go in other dimensions because it's too physical. It's geared for this dimension, so it must be terminated. It's just a bunch of cells, and then break it down, it's just a bunch of atoms. So all we have is atoms rearranging themselves in all types of artful or beautiful forms, and then some maybe not so beautiful. But you must understand how these worlds, and I think I told them to put that video up. I know I try to save some material for the class, but my goal is to change this planet as soon as possible. There's people out there suffering. It doesn't have a lot of time to wait. So understanding how the God worlds are put together and how you're put together is key to understanding genetics. And if we could say that genetics is the changing of the consciousness of a cell. So, let's take you for an example. And let's say you were unconscious, as most Homo sapiens tend to be, and you haven't developed your ability to pull back into the now. Everything you do is totally automatic. Mind is totally conditioned. That's why we have socialism. That's why they can predict and how they rule, how they move the herd. Remember, we were talking about that on the last video or two. If you're not lead dog, the view's always the same. So your belief systems are totally molded like a piece of clay by your world bankers, by your country you live in, by the town or village you're in, by your parents, by the church, synagogue, or whatever you go to. Your belief systems are taught you. You don't know them, you're taught them at an early age. And some people go off as if that's true and they'll kill you over that, when they were just conditioned to think that way. They don't know whether it's true or not. So, you have to understand that. To understand genetics, you have to understand a little bit about awareness and consciousness, and how a cell is formed in the first place. And how that when you have a physical body, you have counterbodies that are on different levels that match it. Like the brain. The medical profession is so physical, they think the brain is the mind. The brain is no longer than the mind as your adrenal glands are your emotions, but they are tied to it. They have a symbiotic relationship. That's how you initiate thinking, and everything else is through all the brain synapses and all these things. Absolutely. How you initiate emotions, adrenal glands. These are chakras or energy centers or vortexes for all these other levels. Really difficult to describe how consciousness is altered as it comes down. And we become less aware as we take on more finite bodies. But to get to a cell, the cell has a consciousness to it, has an awareness to it. It's just not a physical cell. It produces chemicals, depends on the cell and what it does, but there's a consciousness to every single thing. Remember the plants? Remember how the female professor is replacing plant detecting or bomb detecting plants in airports instead of bomb sniffing dogs because plants are more accurate? How can you describe that? How can you tell me a plant can perceive a type of chemical and let you know about it? Because we've tested, we have meters that test magnetics and energy fluxes and everything else, and we can tell when a plant recognizes you and when it doesn't. We can tell all this through electromagnetic energies because we can't relate to that plant in consciousness. And if you go back, which say as you will, you might think it's freaky, I've been back. And you don't want to go back. It's so inert, it's so claustrophobic, it's startling. But it's enough to say that there's still consciousness there. There's awareness there because there's nothing that's not conscious. Because everything comes out of consciousness. When we say you have to understand what God is, first of all. And if you think God is a physical being with a long white beard, you're going to be stuck for a while. That which is infinite is formless. How did you describe that which is formless and that which has intelligence? How do you describe that? The word is consciousness because there's no other word. We are very limited in verbiage that describes that which is the infinite, that which is the formlessness. We think in form, so it's hard for us to understand the formless because we are in form. we don't even understand our own formlessness. And you can only understand that in the present moment. So understanding how consciousness is channeled through these tissues, through these cells, and the bodies that represent them, and then how that consciousness is affected by chemistry. And I'll give you a classic example. If I put a lot of pain in your body, it's going to totally change the way you perceive things. It's going to change your attitude. It's going to change the way you perceive things. Look at your clients that are full of pain. They can be bitchy. They can be bipolar. They can be upset. People call in and give us a hard time over nothing. Nothing. They freak out. Same thing. So it's hard to describe to you unless you have this picture, and it's hard to give you this picture on a quick video when I have so many questions. But review that video, because that video is how I've explained to you and everyone else how cells get their form, how cells get their mind and emotions. Cells have mind and emotions. You can't be a cell without that. They store memories. Let me tell you, this gets deeper than what you can imagine. So the mutation of any consciousness happens through chemistry here at this level. And that's really through physics, which is through consciousness. I mean, you have to understand physics a little bit. And remember, we talked about quantum physics and that how quantum physics now sees chemistry as just frequencies of electromagnetic energy. Frequency of electromagnetic energy is just pure energy, frequencied, and that energy has intelligence. How can you describe that to someone when intelligence and consciousness is formlessness? You can't describe or see awareness. That's why it's so hard to answer your question in such little time. About a good spiritual discussion with that would be quite good. But if you can review that video, it will help you. And I think it's up there. Chris said he put it up. And that's a whole half a morning. That's like 4 hours or something, describing how these God worlds are put together and how it affects the physical form and the cells in the physical form. Then, answer me this then. If a cell gets mutated, all right, now that's consciousness. Now that's in the stem cell. So when you're passing the sperm, that's the consciousness. You're passing the consciousness of how can you do that? And how can the egg have all the consciousness of the female? How can that be? That takes you into worlds way beyond this physical world, my friend. It takes you out of these worlds of matter, energy, space, and time sometimes. But you have to understand the mind, at the level the mind is at, and how it invades below, the emotions, how that's affected, how that affects form. I mean, it's just a big thing. But notice that you can regenerate those that are twisted and turned, those that have cuts, and those that have sores all over them, those that have tumors, you can clean all out and regenerate the cells. That's regeneration of cells. How can there be regeneration of cells? Because that passes. Those are all memories. That you're changing the whole consciousness and structure of a cell. How can you do that? And then, when you conceive, how is that awareness, that weakness that's passed? We know weaknesses occur under the acidic environment or trauma or injury, right? But injuries and trauma should heal unless you're too acidic. So it comes back to man in his high acidosis state has mutated the cell consciousness, the cell DNA, the chromosomes, and that in turn, of course, has mutated that cell. So when you conceive during those times, that consciousness of that cell is passed. Unless someone pulls you away from it. But generally you see it appear then in your grandchildren. How does that happen? And again, you have to go right back to understanding everything. Even chemistry is tied into consciousness. And that final analysis, that's all that is. That's all that's infinite. And the only way you're going to understand that is pull yourself away from the mind. It shouldn't offend any religion. Just pull yourself away from the mind. I've never seen a religion tell you to stop thinking before, tell you how Jesus understands why my Father's mansion has many rooms, why they're not introducing the agnostic gospels and all the other gospels to that. If I'm a Christian, I'm going to want to read all the other gospels, aren't I? Absolutely. I'm going to want to know who the Essenes are. Who's the agnostics? Why the difference? Why does modern Christianity ignore the agnostics? Because they don't want to understand these levels. And the agnostics in Christianity understood out-of-body travels, as Jesus did. Well proven in the Dead Sea Scrolls and all these things. As a matter of fact, there was a book of Enoch, the spiritual being before Jesus. Well, I thought that would shake Christianity to know that Enoch predated Christ. Well, that's hard for people to chew on. And yet, creation is nothing but sequences of time. So it's just, I don't know, it's a very hard thing to answer in such a quick time, my friend Yam, so forgive me. But there is regeneration, there's genetic remembering of cells, there's geneticizing the body. All I can tell you. Too tough, but a good question for you, Yam. All right. Dear Dr. Morris, thanks for answering my previous questions. Great. Who's this? Sam. Hey, Sam. I have almost finished watching most of your video. Boy, that's a hell of an order, isn't it? I'm sorry about all those videos, guys, but I know it's just the way it's coming down the road, I guess. And I'm benefiting from the limb a lot. Good deal. I have a few more questions. You regularly encourage fruits, berries, and melons. Are there any particular fruits and particular types of berries and melons you'd recommend? Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I think really what going into seasons and getting whatever you can get as close as the country around you or state around you, as close as you can. You know, you try to eat in season. I'm still eating California navel oranges. I'm so happy. I'm not getting any good watermelon in Florida, but some of you guys out there are. I heard that India has some dang good watermelon right now. I know they got good mangoes out. I know our mango season is here, and I'm going to show you some big mangoes when I get back from Texas. And I should have some big mangoes. I mean, really big mangoes. But I love them all. And I think it's just you get whatever you can, whatever's ripe as possible, whatever's in season, and you enjoy it. And listen to your intuitiveness. What does your body want? What does your body like a lot? Which one? You know, just follow that. Follow that. Because I think oranges are high on the list. So did Professor Hotima. That's why I have his books there. Because these guys were real fruitarian thinkers. They were way out there. And Raymond Bernard, they were into the Immaculate Conceptions and all that kind of stuff too. Because getting high on a fruitarian lifestyle, even temporarily, while you're getting your body fixed up with that, will take you way out there in energy and in understanding. It'll start breaking down the doors of ignorance. And it's just hard to describe. It's so worth the while to work yourself up into these levels. It doesn't matter whether you maintain them or not. It's that you touch it. And that you're able to get the body to the point to touch it. That way you have a good body for the rest of your life while you're on the planet. And it opens the consciousness. And I just have to tell you, if you can get there, it doesn't matter how you balance out, because once you get it, keep it. Watch that mind. That mind will always try to take you out of the now. It'll always go, but, what if, all those things. If you play in that world, you'll always be full of fear. You don't know what to do. Am I feeding my baby the right foods, even though the foods I'm eating are rebuilding me and making me healthy? What should I feed my baby? That sort of thinking. What's good for the goose, good for the gander, right? Right. But that's how powerful the medical profession's influence is on you. Unbelievable. And that's not a health-related field. They use the word a lot, but it's not a health-related field. Ours is the nutritional health-related field, if we can use the word nutrition. I had done a water fast for 22 days. Holy crap, that was incredible. 22-day water fast. Sam, you butt-kicking guy, you. I terminated my fast on the 22nd day because of a lot of irritation in the gums, which led to bleeding of the gums. Yeah, I mean, you're going to feel crap coming out of the gums, off the tongue. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You're going to get mucus out of the head that's got blood in it, mucus out of the lungs that's got blood in it. Why is that? Because it's acidic and you're breaking down the capillaries in your sinuses and in your lungs. Absolutely. I mean, this is a real big deal. I mean, look at the mutation of the human body that a high acid body does. Unbelievable. When you have things start to twist and turn you and put you into another form, you're literally being chewed by acids. Is it that difficult to understand that in the medical field that spends 10 years of going to school sometimes? Or is this osteopathic endocrinologist told me 15 years? Why the hell would you spend all your life going to school and you can't cure nothing? I'd be frustrated as heck. And of course in 5 days, we can teach you how to cure anything. 5 days. Matter of fact, give me a day. I mean, that's how stupid things are here. Yeah. He's on a complete fruit diet. After breaking my fast, I came on a complete, well, you're kicking butt, Sam. And it has been 6 weeks. But in all this period, my teeth have been extremely sensitive. Well, use your bicarbonate. Use your baking soda, aluminum free, and wash your mouth out. Get you some pH strips and make sure your mouth is maintaining alkalinity, because you can be very acidic in here, and then sometimes the acids on the fruits can irritate that even more. Make sure your saliva and mouth is alkaline, and if it's not, use a little baking soda. Wash your mouth out, hold it in, let it absorb a little bit, and keep doing that and pull that soreness out of there. Extremely sensitive, and certain parts of my front 2 teeth are less white than other parts, such that you could almost see right through. Wow. So what I would do, I would look at my parathyroid gland. You might want to add a green drink in there just to put some more chemistry in the body, more minerals there to bring things up. But I'd take a good look at my parathyroid. Your mouth sounds like it's way too acidic, so you're losing calcium out of the teeth and stuff. So you want to make sure that you're utilizing calcium out of your foods, number one. Make sure your mouth saliva stays base or alkaline, even if you're eating oranges or something like that. Even if though the chemistry ends up base, you still want to keep that base in the mouth. Put yourself on a long extended red grape fast, and it'll make that mouth very alkaline, and then all that calcium will come back in and heal up again. This is Robert Camp, and thanks, Sam. Thanks, buddy. But you can add a green drink, some superfood blend in there, balance out a little bit. Make sure that parathyroid, check your fingernails and everything else. Make sure you're not getting any cramping or things like this. This is a short but sweet one. From Robert Camp. Can anything be done for renal failure? Robert, I would go to Facebook and ask them that. No, I'm just kidding you. That's all we've been talking about, is renal failure. That's what most of this is about. Renal failure from high protein diets and the destruction of the GI tract with high protein diets. Been plenty of studies done on it. Not so much on the renal failure, because they still don't understand the job of the kidneys. They still don't get it. And they still don't get these high protein diets and the effect upon the renal urinary tract, bladder included. Remember I told you about the lady that was peeing out parts of her bladder? She'd been on the Atkins diet for 5 years. It decayed the inside of her bladder out. This is serious stuff. I mean, proteins are seriously bad stuff. And we've been taught that they're good. Who taught us they were good? Wackos. People that have no basis in chemistry. Medical doctors, along with naturopaths, since the mid-1800s have been saying, stop the proteins, humans. Plenty of books written in the earlier times on too much protein. Natural health has always said we're way too much protein. Get rid of the dead animal stuff. That's always been naturopathic stuff. Now they're recommending grass graves, animals, and all this. You see what I'm saying? The negative forces are always trying to win. And as long as they win in your life, you lose. And you'll lose your kidneys. And that's the one thing, easy to fix. If you're real bad, what's your creatinine? You should have given me your creatinine levels, and I'll tell you how much of renal failure you're in. But it's enough to say is, if you need it, do a kidney glandular. But you want to do a capsule kidney formula and a liquid kidney formula, a tincture, and then go after the adrenals on top of them. That's essential. Make sure you filter. Review these videos, Robert, and make sure you're filtering. Because if you're not filtering, life is not going to be good in your future, and or any of ours. So that's real important because to fix those kidneys, they are the main reason for all the cancers, the main reason for all the deaths of heart problems, the strokes, and all the cholesterol. Kidneys, renals, big issue. Big issue, Robert. And most of these videos are about all of the renals. Most of this whole thing, even when we talk about the lymphatic system, well, guess what's the major players in the lymphatic system? Your three kidneys. Your three kidneys. What's your third kidney? The largest organ you've got in your body? Oh, you guys are good. Your skin. Your skin. That's why a good sweat always does you good. This is Stephanie. My question is, does fruit feed cancer and tumor cells? Oh. Stephanie, if that was the case, honey, I would have never recommended them, would I? You know, let's go back to sugar. Let's go back to that again, because it's been a while since we've talked a little bit about that. If sugar feeds cancer, then fruits, berries, and melons and vegetables all feed cancer, because all those carbohydrates are sugar. But what's another name for sugar in chemistry? Carbon. And what does your car burn in its gas tank? Carbon. Now what does it mix carbon with? What's that little thing on the top called a carburetor? Well, now it's something totally different. And how they bring in the air intakes and stuff to motors. But we burn carbon the same way. It's essential that we burn carbon and breathe in oxygen to combine to create adenosine triphosphate, ATP. The hydrogen is always yanked out, but that's a little acid element. And then you have the burn, and you have the ATP construction of carbon and oxygen. So, let's see, what was your question? Oh, so all sugar, all carbon feeds all cells, absolutely. If you're a cancer cell, carbon will feed you. If you're a healthy cell, carbon will feed you. If you're an atypical cell. So here we go. Healthy cell, atypical cell, cancer cell. Now, hard to understand that the word cancer simply means a damaged cell. What side of chemistry is the most notorious side of chemistry for damaging cells? Acids. Cell waste. Cells damage on their own waste, guys, just like we die on our own waste. Most people die on their own waste. Think about that. And same with cells. Until it's intracellular, inside of the cell, acidosis, as long as the cell can poop outside of its membrane, it's inflammation. That's if the lymph system is backed up. You don't know it if everything's filtering because all these wastes are being removed. So the irony to all of this is we die on our own sewage, isn't it? So when you ask a question like that, I wish they'd view these videos back to where we have full discussion on these, sweetheart. That's enough to say that. If you think you can cure a damaged cell, which the medical doctors call a cancer cell, by withdrawing the main fuel source to the human body, then you don't have your marbles. That's their problem. They don't have their marbles. You can't withdraw carbon from the body. As soon as you stop taking carbohydrates, what does your body now have to turn to for carbon? Fats. So now glycogen is all broken down to your glucoses, and then of course, if you don't have any fat, now where do you go to get it? The amino acids. Whoa, see you later structure, right? Exactly. That's the fear that a lot of these universities have on fasting. Your proteolytic enzymes, but your body will have to break down your structure to burn for carbon, because you have to have a carbon source. But there is carbon in the air. They forget that. Not much, but there is some. But carbohydrate serves as the main energy source for omnivores, frugivores, and herbivores. Three of the main vertebrates on this planet require carbon to burn, and by the way, cats do too. They have to get it in a much nastier way. That's why they have very low endurance. They sleep all the time. They have a nasty disposition, unless you really have a nice, friendly, loving catty. But some of these big cats, they are nice enough, but they can also have a little mean streak. That's enough to say that the question is not needed anymore. Matter of fact, I love Hippocrates saying, stay away from fruits, but here's all these green drinks loaded with glucose. But, well, that's not a sugar. Well, wait a minute, it is a sugar. Wait a minute, it's a simple sugar like fructose. Well, wait a minute. I mean, people don't think because their minds are so controlled with propaganda. And people don't have any awareness when their mind dominates them. And that's the problem. You let your mind dominate you, you will be confused about life totally. And you'll just go cycle after cycle, the same old thing in your lives. Now, I had Cyberknife radiation. I don't know what that is. 2 years ago from inoperable meningioma, I followed up with a fruit diet and herbal teas and tinctures. Just recently I had a meningioma removed from sinus areas, supposed to follow up with radiation. Oh man! Honey, Stephanie, you got to wake up and review these videos because this is your lymph system. This isn't sugars or fruits. This is your lymph system. And your lymph system's backed up. Talking about urinary tract, you got to go back to your kidneys, your adrenals, get your lymph system, get your GI tract cleaned up, and stop growing these little puppies. I don't want more radiation. No kidding. You don't have to have what you don't want unless you're too young to make your own decision. I would like to cure with diet, and you can. Get the herbs too because they'll accelerate that pulling out. And if you want, try to get your sinuses faster. Chew on some horseradish root, neti pot with 3-lung tea or something. In other words, try to start moving this out. Get yourself high up on a fruit fast, a grape fast, or a lemon juice fast. Are you kidding? Of all our cases, thousands and thousands of cancer cases through the years, 90% of them are alive and well and without cancer anymore. Using their terminology, meaning damaged cells, they're alive and well today. Cases that were thought to be impossible to save. Fox News has aired some, ABC News. I'm going to put some of these videos up for you too one of these days when we get enough time around here to show you some of these stories. But it's enough to say that only a small percentage of people that walk down the road of understanding detox and cleaning and regenerating and getting the acids out of the body, only a very few of them don't make it. And those are point of no return. Too much chemo, too much radiation, or it's their time. Because if you're doing everything right, it's just a matter of time, or it's your time. And if it's your time, see ya! I'm going for a new adventure, baby. But let me say this. In passing, you'll pass 100% differently. You'll pass with the family. You'll pass with love in your heart. You'll start to see your spiritual beings, not like in a hospital on morphine or under hospice, where you don't even know who the people are coming to see ya. But that's only a few. A few. It's reverse. If you said oncology has a 6% cure rate for 5 years, you can reverse that on our side. We have a 94% cure rate. But not curing cancer, because there's no curing cancer. It's a disease of uncurable origin. Nobody understands it. And as long as you put that in context, then no one will ever be able to cure it, because it's an incurable disease. But if you understand that your problem of a tumor is your lymph system and that your acids are breaking down your cells, then you can totally cure it, because you understand what's causing these things. They just use verbiage that puts them into disease so only them can treat it. Even if you're not an oncologist, you can get trouble as a medical doctor for treating cancer. If I was a medical doctor, I'd be insulted by the way the American Medical Association has set itself up. And a lot of medical doctors don't even belong to the AMA anymore, is the way I understand it. I don't blame them. Some associations can be real bad on you. And if you do more radiation to the head, Jesus, man, Stephanie, you're going to end up with brain cancer, honey. You can't, I've had case after case after case that radiated the brain, now has brain cancer. You've got to stand up strong and tall and get this yourself. Understand it. And I've got, how many videos we have now, guys? We got a bunch. And there's so much information. Yeah, they're time consuming, yeah, but it's all there for you to get yourself well. I would like to cure with diet. I researched the ketonic diet, where you starve tumor and cancer cells by not eating carbs and glucose. You do that, sweetheart, you'll hurt yourself so much you can't even believe it. You cannot withdraw carbon from your diet. That is insanity. That was Watkins' theory. Now, do you notice the new, Atkins theory? Did you notice the new Atkins diet? Plenty of fruits and vegetables. How many people did Atkins kill with that diet? How many people did he hurt with a high-protein diet? And that was their philosophy. Starve the body for sugar, and it'll have to turn to its fat reserves for sugar. Just what I told you. And then your fats break down and you're losing weight. You're starving your body for carbon. That's not how you get rid of a cancer cell, and you can convert a lot of cancer cells to healthy cells, particularly in that atypical range. You can always take a vaginal atypical cell, use the HealAll-T, and it'll convert back to a healthy cell again. How did it do that? Because you removed what was breaking it down, and you reinstated the very chemistry and consciousness that feeds it and turns it on and it wakes it up and it heals it. There is regeneration. So you're reading a diet that these people should be hung for putting that out there. This is the fastest way to make cancer all through you. This is bad stuff. Do you agree with this? Are you kidding? I think these people are nuts. This is sick. You cannot do this. Atkins' diet proved that over and over, but anybody with a brain in chemistry understands that. You can't do that. That's starving cancer cells. You can't, whenever you starve a cancer cell, sweetheart, you're starving all your cells. Remember that. You have 100 trillion cells, and when you're starving one cell, you're starving them all. And that's how you break them all down. So you want to break yourself down more? That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Tumor cells. Sounds like a good idea, but what about the fruit? Freaks me out, but want to cure my issue. What do you think? Thank you, Stephanie. What do I think? I'll have videos and videos back up here, sweetheart, of what I think on this. You follow that program, you're going to be one unhappy lady. Understand what system your tumor's in. Understand what lymphomas are. What system is lymphomas in. That's a real hard one, right? And so then you understand that your swelling of lymph nodes and all that. Oh, what system is that? No, there we go. And we're all in the lymph system, guys. We're not in the blood system. We're in the lymph system. And the kidneys, they don't get it with the kidneys. You know, you can walk to dialysis. They don't care. They don't get that the kidneys are the big key here, and filtration of your acids out. And you basically, Stephanie, only have cells and two major fluids that take care of them, and only two sides of chemistry. What's up? Whoever has these ketonic, they don't cure. This is insane stuff. You don't cure anything with these type of diets like that. Stephanie, I would review more videos, sweetheart, read our books, and really get a more understanding before you tackle something like starving yourself for carbon, glucose or fructose. And that glucose you mentioned there, that's vegetables. So you can't have any vegetables, you can't have any fruits, you can't have any melons, you can only have fats and proteins. And, oh, wait a minute. You can't have fats because fats are broken down into sugars. You can't have fats. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait. You can't have proteins because then if you're not doing fats and you're not doing sugars or carbon, then your proteins are going to be used as sugar. Oh, my God. Because you can't stop your body breaking down resources to carbon. You see what I'm saying? Carbon is the essential component with oxygen of ATP, the energy that drives a cell. If you're mutating a cell, stop mutating the cell and rebuild it. If you got a tumor, you've got a mass of lymph sitting there that's not filtering. What's blocked? You don't get swelling and masses if nothing's blocked. So you have a blockage. Where's the blockage? In the lymph system, of course. Well, what's the lymph system and how does it work? And there's been plenty of videos on that one. Plenty of videos. But heads up, kidneys. Holy moly, it's 4 o'clock. I've got to go. How do I fix my adrenal glands? Tanya. Well, first of all, get on a diet that's harmonious with the adrenal glands, which is going to be your fruits, berries, and melons and vegetables. If you want to eat the vegetables that are specific for the adrenals, you're into the parsleys, the dandelion greens, If you want to clean the kidneys below, you can use your beets and your dandelions and parsleys. All the fruits and berries and melons are great for the adrenal glands, and you have actually desiccated adrenal tissue that you can really get if they're really down. But you want to get the kidneys filtering because that's the reason the adrenals go down, isn't it? When you see cells go down and you're passing these genetic weaknesses, as the question was earlier on, what's doing that? So look at the adrenal glands. There's a gland sitting on top of each kidney, right? So they control the kidneys through neurotransmitters and somewhat through steroids and the sodium-potassium balances. So you notice when you have kidney problems, your potassium goes up. When you have the adrenal problems, your sodium can go down. So you can see all kinds of problems. Well, sodium-potassium is how you work that osmosis properly in cells and how you keep these fluid levels where nutrients can be absorbed. So there's a delicate balance in the body of how the kidneys and adrenals control these sort of factors in the body. So the kidneys go first for anything else, and high-protein diets do that. So when you got a lady trying to get rid of cancer and they tell her that you don't do any carbon, that's impossible, first of all. And to move her into a high-protein diet would destroy the kidneys even more, which would make tumors pop in her even more. I mean, it's just insanity. And these are people that I don't feel should be in the natural health field and should even be mentioned in the same breath as natural holistic health. Because these are wacko philosophies that hold no water as far as I'm concerned. From chemistry viewpoint, from physics viewpoint, from actual experience viewpoint. What are the dangers of organic sulfur? I tried to search online and couldn't find anything. Love 84 forever. 83 forever. 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 11. 83, I like that. Breaks down to 11. Now we're down to 11, 11 again. I like that. Well, instead of organic sulfur, for me, organic sulfur is synergistically bound in, let's say, a cruciferous, where you have a higher sulfur content food. That would be considered organic sulfur to me. A broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, that would be more organic sulfur to me. Your body deals fairly well with that. I mean, you can still get gas from that. You can still feel the effects of the sulfur from those foods. No question about that. Most of you are aware of that. But when you isolate it, it becomes an irritant, it becomes a fungal proliferator, and it becomes a lymphatic suppressant. Look at all the sulfur people have in their eyes from the use of sulfur drugs, particularly antibiotics, penicillin and the like. Not fun. Not fun. And it makes you gassy, bloaty, swelly, nothing fun at all about it. So organic, to me, is synergistically bound with its brothers and sisters. Inorganic, to me, is isolates. And chemistry can say what it wants. We're paving our own road of understanding, right? Because the world is wacky. Forget it. There's some wacko chemists out there. I got one that comes in here all the time. Acid eating him all up. I swears it's alkalosis. That's how they think. I said, no, this is acid. Oh, no, it's alkalosis. I'm a chemist. I know my chemistry. And I said, I know my chemistry. I'm a chemist, and that's acidosis. Oh, he swore up and down. Well, I put him on an alkaline diet, right? So it's getting better, slowly getting better, because he can't do the diet well. So he came in here real sweating real hard one day, and I said, you know what? He said, I'm so alkaline, I'm burning all over. I said, it's true that high levels of alkali burn, but I said, you're burning from acids. I said, here's a pH paper, check your sweat. He was so acidic, it wasn't even funny. So, chemists are screwed up. We need to create our own path of awareness because we prove our way. We always prove our way. People are getting well all around the world, pulling themselves out of the most mutated situations. They're getting well. So, proof's in the pudding, as they say from where I'm from. God, there's so many viable questions here. I wish I get them. I'm going to come in Monday, my last day here, and I'm going to do some more of these. This is Ken. Hey, Ken. Hi, Dr. Morse. I have MS. Use catheter full time. Damn. Bladder and kidney infections. Yeah, you can count on that, right? Because really, when you got MS, what's your setup for MS, guys? kidney and adrenals down, nerve rings in the eye, cerebellum, and sometimes radius solaris. Now you got your brain lesions, you got your cerebellum, your equilibrium dizzy center, you've got your adrenals down, your battery charger to the autonomic, so you drop your legs, you lose mobility, that's the autonomic, and the central nervous starts getting burnt up with brain lesions. See where I'm going? Kidneys fail, so now you see your kidney infections all the time? Absolutely. So there's no difference. Matter of fact, and I always said neurologically, guys, fruits, berries, and melons, forget the veggies, dip them as soon as you can, because only fruits and berries and melons, in my opinion, rebuilds man's nervous system. But you have to go into the kidneys, you got to go into the adrenals, you got to go into what other system? What's causing the brain lesions? Which system? Lymph. Blood doesn't cause brain lesions. If it did, we wouldn't, none of us be alive. It's the lymphatic system. It's the sewer system of the body. And you guys are helping to be the main lymphatic understanders of the world. We're the lymph heads. Or something like that. Yeah, you need to get into these kidneys and get them opened up and get that inflammation and all that swelling out of there. Swelling is acidosis, and get that out of there, my friend. Quite common, treating a kidney infection with, oh no, see here we sulfa-methoxyzole. Yow! No! You're going to fill your body full of sulfur and you're going to suppress your lymph system. Well, you know, funny how all this stuff runs together sometimes? You want to come off of that. If it was me, First Amendment rights, if it was me, I'm going to say that I'm coming off of that crap. I'm going to kill my bacteria. I'm going to go right after the acids that's burning my kidneys up. Because you look at your creatinine, you're burning your kidneys up with this. Your kidneys are no longer filtering. Forget the rest of your body. You can tell with the MS that your body's not filtering. You want to go after those. And this is where I would use a adrenal glandular. You daggone right, and probably 400 milligrams. And I'm going into the kidneys. I'm going to hit the kidneys and use a Parasite M. All that'll pull that UTI stuff right out. But you got to get your kidneys filtering, or you'll never get rid of this and you'll lose your kidneys. Now, everything's down. You can't get yourself back. No. And now you're not an antibiotic supporter. What should I do as a better alternative? 2 kidney formulas, Parasite M. Get on the adrenals. Get on the lymphatic formulas. That'll clean the kidneys too. Get on the bowels. Clean the bowels. Bowels can feed kidneys. Start cleaning everything up, detoxing everything, my friend, and getting up on fruits, berries, and melons. You want to get, if you got brain lesions, hopefully you don't, but most MS cases do, you want to get up upper circuit, brain, and nerve. Mandatory. And get yourself drained. Use the neurolymphatic points down the back so you can free up this inflammation in the cerebellum and really open yourself up there, man, and you can get yourself out of that. Many have. Many. Never had one that couldn't. Got a couple there sitting in chairs, man and wife. Are they all fruits, berries, and melons, guys? You know who I'm talking about. Yes? Thank you once again for sharing. Oh, thank you, sweetheart. This is Kayla. Where would you recommend the best herbal school to learn become a master herbalist like yourself? When I save up, I'm definitely going to your school or online, at least since I'm in Cali. You know, I love this girl. She's right on, because the future is botanicals. The future on this planet isn't medicinos. It isn't pharmaceuticals. There's going to be, that karma's going to twist, and those guys are going to have no place to run or hide. They've destroyed too many people with them. It's not how you do life. We got so aberrated away from the mother, planet Earth, and away from the Creator, that which invades and sustains all things. So we've gotten so far away. We eat dead tissue, we drink their milks, but we ultra-pasteurize them rather next to plastic. And so now we're consuming these kind of, we're drinking drinks that are all multicolored, neon colors. I see kids drinking neon-colored drinks. I'm going, oh my God. And it's okay. We just allowed all these things. It's amazing. And we sell Coke and Pepsi and all this stuff, which is 3 pH acids going right into the body, burning up the guts and stuff. I mean, we're in sorry shape. Humans on this planet are in sorry shape. But the powers that be don't care. Because the more deaths, the more sustainable planet it will bring them. And this is a reality coming home harder every day. Why the chemtrails? Why the AMA killing so many people? Why are we massively killing people on the planet? Oh, but we're doing it under the guise of good for the whole. Good for the world bankers. Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Warburgs, all those lovely creatures. You know, Canada has one, a really dang good herbal school, Dominion. In the back of our books are resources of all these schools. In the back of the book I've got on the market is resources. Dominion. Emerson is not in business anymore. They were a tough school. I liked them a lot. But also School of Natural Healing, that's old Christopher School. His son John, he's got a nice herbal school out there. I really promote that one. I like that one. You go out for a 3-day intensive. You're close anyway. And I would do Christopher's, and I would do 2 or 3 of them. I've done probably, I probably have 6 degrees out there from different herbal schools, and I've got 4 or 5 here that I haven't even finished. I've got Mary Gladstar's. I love her coursework, but I've just never had the time to finish her stuff. Mary Gladstar, got the best face cream on the planet, but she's an incredible lady. I like her a lot. I've never personally met her, but I've got her course here. I just never finished. I've got several, and the more that you learn, the better it is. And it's just fun. But keep in context that when you go to herbal school, they reference diseases and the treatment of. And if you keep in your mind that you're using herbs to go to specific areas of the body and enhance the function of cells, and that specific herbs also are top cleansers of the human body, like the lymphatic herbs. So you have herbs that clean and herbs that strengthen. Some strengthen a little more, some are tonics, which strengthen and tone. They work slow, but like ginseng, 256-year-old Chinese guy type of thing. So all these things, but learning your herbs are fun. That's like candy. They're fun because they play and they're fun. They make you feel good. No one should ever fear them. And then the foods always make you feel good. You're getting away from the dead tissue and the stink of the body. You're getting rid of the milks that causes all the mucus, the grains that make you bloat and give you too much sugar and get candida problems. I mean, you're going back to Nirvana land, back to health and Wellville again. Not Wellsville, Wellville. I love you guys. Thanks for that picture. I love it. And thanks to each and every one of you. I want to thank you for everything you do, all your time that you're working on yourselves. You will not regret any minute of it. And makes good stories in the future. So I love you all. You have a fun day when you get this. I don't know, Chris, hopefully he'll start getting this up Monday. And Monday I'll come in and try to grab a whole bunch more. All right? So from me to you, I love you. Watch your dreams. And remember, practice the presence of the now. Stop thinking, stop desiring, and enjoy the moment. Every moment. And don't let anybody take you off your game. Love you guys.